Hey everybody, I'd like to share with you a few words that hopefully will inspire you and encourage you today. Jesus told his disciples in Luke chapter 12 and verse 35, "Stay dressed for action and keep your lamps burning." In other words, we should stay spiritually alert and ready to serve when required. Before one service began, someone asked Smith Wigglesworth if he was ready to minister. He answered, "I'm ever ready." Many times when we're not actively engaged in ministry, while we're waiting for an opportunity to arise, we become complacent and slothful. We neglect our prayer life. We don't spend quality time in the Word. Our passion for the things of God cools. Then the fire dies down. Then, when a door is open for us, we're not prepared to walk through it. I remember hearing the testimony of Kenneth Copeland. He was 30 years old, married with children, and he knew he was called to teach the Word. But there were no invitations to preach. No one had ever heard of Kenneth Copeland. No church was interested in having him. But he determined to get ready. He set up a makeshift office in his home. He woke up after breakfast and he sat down behind his desk and began to pray and study. He continued until lunchtime and then resumed in the afternoon until dinner. He maintained this schedule Monday through Friday as if it was his job. In those days, they didn't have CD audio recordings or MP3s, but they did have large reel-to-reel tape recordings. Kenneth Copeland went to Kenneth Hagin's ministry office to see if he could get a copy of all of Brother Hagin's teachings on tape. He met the office manager, introduced himself, and said, "I don't have any money, but here is the title to my car, and when I get the money, I'll come back. In the meantime, you can have my car." It was actually an old, rusted, ugly car. The office manager smiled and said, "That's okay, you can keep the car." So he got all the tapes and listened to them day and night. Kenneth Copeland continued this way for weeks and months. He was filling his spirit with faith. Then one day, he got a phone call from a pastor who said, "Our guest speaker for tonight had to cancel. Do you know anyone that could take his place?" Copeland said, "Yes, me." So he preached that evening. A pastor in the audience was so blessed, he asked, "Can you hold a meeting for me?" And he did. And then another invitation came. And of course, the rest is history. But many Bible school graduates and those who are called to the ministry think, if I was asked to speak in a revival meeting or a conference, then I'd pray and study and prepare. But that never happens. If you don't maintain your walk with the Lord, it is not likely anyone would call you to minister for them. Many graduates are not really looking for an opportunity to serve, they're looking for a job. But these are two different things. Sometimes people contact me asking for a job, employment in this church. My first question is, what are you doing right now? They often will respond, well, I graduated from this seminary, I have this degree. But that's not what I asked. I asked, what are you doing? Often the answer is, not much. If you will set your heart to serve God and be a blessing to others, opportunities abound. Share the gospel with your neighbors. Pray for the sick in your community. Visit the hospital or the jail. Minister to the poor. And if you are faithful and fruitful, God will promote you and open larger doors. After I graduated from Rhema, nobody invited me to preach or teach. It was discouraging. So I had to support myself. I got a regular secular job. I bought a tape recorder and put it on the front seat of my car, and I listened to faith-building teachings constantly wherever I went. I read books, and of course, I studied the Bible constantly and prayed. I was working in a factory when I heard about a church that was like Rhema, advertised on the radio. I visited this church one Sunday and found out it was a small storefront building and only had about 20 people in attendance on Sunday morning. The pastor asked me if I could lead the singing since I played the guitar and was a music student. So for several years, while working a secular job, I led the praise and worship in that tiny church. Then one day, the pastor asked me if I would share on Wednesday night, and I did. I never got a penny for my time there, and I didn't expect anything either. After I was married, I continued to work a secular job, but I traveled to churches on weekends. Sometimes they gave me an offering. Some places only gave me a warm handshake, but I wasn't preaching for money. One time I contacted a pastor I had met at a conference to see if he would have me preach. He was very hesitant and had all kinds of excuses. Finally, I said to him, "You don't have to take up an offering, and I won't say anything about money. I'll preach just for the joy of serving." He seemed surprised, but then agreed. I preached Sunday morning and then Sunday evening, and he told the people what I had said to him. And then he added, "We weren't going to receive an offering for him, but you know what? I'm going to do it." Be willing to go anywhere. Never make money the motive. But most importantly, stay dressed for action and keep your lamps burning. God bless you.